let me just say this. I do want your take, gentlemen, on this. Here's my take. I would say there's a lot to unpack here. I would synthesize this simply by saying it feels to me like having to enlist and pay for a executive or outside search firm to effectively scale the globe, come back to the same person who was under the problems originally alleged before, and hire them as if nothing had happened, is, I think, bizarre, and in some cases a waste of money. I don't really understand the thought process behind his rehiring. It is essentially a lot of money to run around in a circle and come back to the same place for me. I don't think he's the right fit for the men's national team to manage them going into the next World Cup, which was actually confirmed to me again in the two friendlies that we just played here, despite the fact that we won them on the scoreboard. I just won't. I haven't been convinced yet, and I'm willing to be convinced, but he should have spoken to Gio Reyna beforehand. I can't believe that hadn't happened before. There's a lot of those. There's just too many question marks around the organization, around him, for me to really feel comfortable heading into 2026. Is where I sit. I'm a Berhalter out guy, I have to say. Cards on the table. I don't like him as a fit.
Yeah, I think the only thing I'd say is he's probably, as far as like American coaches go, I don't know enough of our landscape to know if there's another, up and coming guy that obviously Jesse Marsh gets thrown around a lot, but besides him, someone that's actually coaching in America. If we have a ton of options there, I think if we were being realistic, if we wanted to get a good coach, it would be some kind of a foreigner. But yeah, it's just a lot of the theatrics around the team are just such a distraction. And I mean, I don't know, sometimes that stuff can in a weird way galvanize the squad, but I don't know, we've got 3 years to go on hosting the World Cup, and is Triple G going to be here the whole time? Like, it feels like 100%, which I don't know. He's got moments where we play well, but I think a ton of that is because this is as good of a talent as we've ever had, pretty much.
Ever.
So how much of that is him doing anything right? I don't know. I tend to lean towards, we just have a lot of really good players and haven't for a long time. So he basically just has to, press play and put those guys in the lineup, and we'll probably be okay. But it would be nice to not have a lot of the kind of nonsense with the Gio Reyna, and at least the bounce passes are gone. But yeah, it just feels a bit underwhelming. You got anything, Chris?
So like here my take. So you have to hear the whole thing, otherwise, because I'm a Berhalter person, obviously, but he's probably the best US men's national team coach the program has ever had, because in terms of tactics, in terms of progressive play, in terms of playing offensive, he's the first one that plays that game. All the coaches before, including Jürgen Klinsmann, they didn't have like that talent pool, and that's like the main argument against what I'm about to say. But they were playing counter-attack, and that's easy to play defense. Like, you don't need to be like a top coach to play defense, because playing defense in football is one of the easiest things to do. Like, and Colburn, we all know, Northern Macedonia, they play defense and they counter-attack.
Just park the bus, baby.
And they strike 27 yards out, and with an expected goal of 0.01, and that was enough to get Italy out of the World Cup. So that's the easiest thing to do. And playing offensively is, and so he knows all those tactics. He's just not good at implementing them, because he has been fired from Columbus Crew for the second division of Norway, and he's just not good at those. But he's the best US national team coach in terms of like knowing the tactics, trying to implement them, because there has never been a US national team coach, including Jürgen Klinsmann, that has been trying to had a plan like that. But in terms of the execution, it's poor. Like, you had like an interim manager like Hudson and BJ Callahan that said like, you guys go on the field and you have fun. And they played better than when there's guys like, okay, take the ball, possess the ball. When you're on the final third, you just do that. And
yes,
BJ Callahan, even though Callahan against Canada had a plan, and he was like man marking on the Alphonso Davies so that he doesn't feed the ball to Jonathan David. We didn't see Jonathan David, neither did we see what's his name that plays Davis on that game. And so that was simple tactics. Give the ball to Joe Reyna, tries to find Balogun, and just you let them play.
That is, I'm so glad you brought that up, Chris. I would argue that the game against Mexico and the game against Canada in this summer's Gold Cup, in this summer's Nations League, was the best that the U.S. has ever played. Ever. Yes. Ever. And that was under BJ Callahan. And I think that's because he just said, everybody go out there and play. This is house money. Now, I don't like that because naturally I'm inclined to say that the grass is always going to be greener on the other side. Yeah,
outside of CONCACAF, yes.
Right. So there's some caveat there, but I will say I just know in my bones that would not have happened under Gregg Berhalter. I just know it. And I can't explain why, and I can't explain specifically how. I just know it wouldn't have been that way. Well, Gio wouldn't even been there. That's number one.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Chris, good points. I mean, I go back to the Netherlands game in the World Cup, and obviously we kind of got exposed, but that's the first time I've ever really watched us in any kind of a big game where we did try to take it to them. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm pretty sure we had possession, or if not, it was pretty close. Because there were spells where we really did try to keep the ball and ping it around, and obviously we were just inferior, and it didn't really work out. But he should get some credit for at least kind of attempting to play. And obviously we already brought up the counter argument that we have the players that for the first time ever probably can actually try to play. But that was an interesting game to have lost. I've never watched us lose a game like that. In a big tournament where I thought, hey, we tried. We took it out and at least like tactically tried instead of just sitting back and holding on for dear life while Tim Howard makes 15 saves against Belgium.
I was gonna say
different kind of
earthquake legend. Yeah, so. I mean, but that's the thing also. That's the thing is like I appreciate that like you want to be like Germany because like a lot of the US men's national team is based out of German, and there's there's always been a affiliation with Germany because of like the GIs kids, like the dual national, and like a lot of kids go play in Bundesliga and they play offensive and it's attractive and like to try to attract fans, and I do appreciate that a lot. Considering myself watching France, and it's boring every time to watch them play. However, at the end of the day, even though I'm not a resultadist, at the end of the day, like you still don't have enough talent, even though like it's the biggest talent pool the US men's team has ever had. You still don't have enough talent to play like Germany did in 2014. So then you should have been like, okay, against Netherlands, I'm gonna play a low block and I'm gonna go counter attack, and you had a better chance. And then after and then when you see that like you're dominating, then you play a high line, or don't play a high line, just a mid block is enough. Like that's the thing. Just take a middle ground, not take like the full extreme from like low block to high line. Just play a middle block. That would have been
enough. The Netherlands play the easy game. They got to counterattack on us with all of their talent. And it was like,
barely ran.
Those counterattacks just blew the doors off us.
Oh, that's just clinically executed.
Ruthless.
And also, by the way, having watched us play Uzbekistan last week, the high line is back, and Tim Ream is back. And again, I was actually really impressed with Tim Ream in the World Cup, but I'm watching it's Groundhog Day all over again. I didn't like how we looked. Well, also the Federation takes some blame here. Playing Uzbekistan and Oman in this international break, I mean, we might as well be playing the Papal States. We might as well be playing some other random team. What a waste of time. What a waste of everyone's time to do that. So I would say it's not all on Gregg. There is some Federation impetus for this too. But
yes,
all of it is a mess, in my opinion. And when you have something as cherished as a golden generation like we have right now, you don't want to be a Belgium who end up not winning or producing anything of value. You want to get out ahead of that. And I think what we're saying is that you look into the future, into 2026, and I see that cliff.
So I have it under high authority that at some point there was a plan for the US to play this window in London, to play against England, which did play against Scotland today as a friendly, and Germany. So we're playing Germany in October, so it's just like jumping the ship, but we could have played Japan, which went back and played at home against Turkey or Turkey very early. So Japan would have been happy to play against the US again. So obviously we would have gotten super exposed. You would have played the way that we played against Uzbekistan and Oman. And also, obviously, they wanted the US dollars. So that's why they played at home. And they got caught off guard. So those kind of things, they get planned way ahead. So that's kind of stuff is getting planned like almost 6 months to a year out. And obviously with Gregg Berhalter coming out like in June, even though they would have known like, I don't know, like maybe in May, this is like too late. So they basically took what was remaining and that was it. And so that's why we played those cupcake games that are meaningless, because like even if Uzbekistan is rising, I've never seen them play in a World Cup. Oman, I've never seen them play in a World Cup. So I'd rather you see play Mexico again, Canada again, than play those two. Like I'm very serious about it. Even if it's a different style of play.
Anybody else.
Mexico and Canada is a higher level than those. And obviously, the cherry on top of the cake, I would have loved to see them play against England again and away. And I would have loved to see them play against maybe France. So
well, but also you didn't even see them really experiment with any new players. And we played our whole starting lineup in both games essentially. So
there's no value in Tim Ream playing anymore. He's not going to play in the World Cup. What a waste of time.
Exactly. So I don't know.
Or could he play in the World Cup?
I hope not. It's
could he be
I don't
the guy?
know. I don't know.
He's a wily veteran in the back line. He'd be like a Bonucci.
It's going to be 55. He's going to be filing for Social Security. It's unbelievable. So
no, but
anyway, to Chris, to summarize this point here, I think, it's a wait and see here, but I think we on this podcast are a little bit lower on the enthusiasm spectrum for US soccer and Berhalter.
We forgot to mention, sorry to interrupt, like he hasn't talked to Jorena yet. And
what are we doing?
And hang on, and also apparently BJ Callahan, who used to be just the video coach, like third or fourth assistant, has been promoted to like the first assistant coach. And he's really good at like man management, as we've seen during the summer. And he's being the intermediary in this case between Jorena and Gregg Berhalter. And so he organized a dinner in Chicago when Dortmund was during the preseason, even though Joe wasn't playing. And so he was going to be Claude Jorena, so his dad and him, and he was going to be BJ and Gregg Berhalter, so like 2 and 2 at dinner. And so apparently, Gregg Berhalter decided not to go because he went on a fishing trip to Alaska with his buddies. It was more important to do that.
I don't have anything to say to that. I can't corroborate that. Obviously, I have no idea if that's true or not, but it's all bad to me.
That's the point. It is bad. Although I will say we probably talked about it a long time ago, but the Claudio Reyna like involvement is a little much, but they just need to figure it out. And Gregg's the coach; he's the adult. He needs to figure that out, and he's not, and that's the point.